It all adds up to great quilting when you're working on a plus block. I'm Angela Walters from Quilting is My Therapy, and welcome to the next video in the Free-motion Challenge Quilting Along series, Help, How Do I Quilt It?, where I'm giving you tips and ideas for a lot of those common quilt blocks. In the last video, we saw the 9-patch block, and the plus block is pretty much the same thing. The main difference is those corner squares usually blend in with the background fabric so that all you see is that beautiful plus or cross in the center. In this video, I'll show you 3 different ways that you can quilt the plus block, and you'll see that what you quilt in the background of the block is just as important as what you put in the block. The first design uses continuous curve to draw your eye to the center. This is perfect for those plus blocks that are all one fabric, and it's great because it's quick and easy to quilt. Starting from a corner of the block, I'm going to quilt a curve that goes to the center. Then I'm going to quilt another line that curves out to the midpoint of the side, and the same thing returning back to the middle. You can eyeball it or mark it. Then I'm going to quilt another curved line to the next inner corner and back to the center. What's great about this design is that once I know what points I'm aiming for, all I have to do is work my way around the block. Now, even though I started from the inner corner, you can start this design from any point, and you can even start from the center if you'd like. However, I like to start from the outside so that I end up on the outside. For larger blocks, or if I wanted to add even more complexity to the design, all I have to do is add more curves. It's a lot easier to change your mind than it is to take out that quilting. I love how it softens the edges just a bit by giving it a curvy look. Once your plus block is quilted, now's the perfect opportunity to decide what you're going to put around it. If you finished your plus block and you think, dang, I'm really good, echoing is going to be a perfect way to help show it off. But here's a spoiler alert, I'm not going to break thread to get to that echo line. Instead, I'm going to add some miters to my design so that I can get out of this block into the echoing and then move on to the rest of the quilt. Basically, I'm just going to quilt a line that's diagonal until the edge of my foot is touching my block. I just have to run the edge of my foot along the block or the other quilted line, and it's going to give me that nice 1/4 inch spacing. But if I have that mitered line in one of the corners, I'm going to do it in all of the corners so it looks intentional. Quilting a line that angles down to the inner corner and right back up the way I came. Of course, you don't have to go to the trouble of adding these mitered corners. But I find that if I do something once, it looks like a mistake. But if I do it twice, it looks like it's supposed to be that way. And for the last echo line, I'm going to quilt it so that it runs into the first echo line, and I have my beautiful echoed plus sign. It takes just a few more minutes, but the result is so worth the effort. Once the block's quilted and echoed, then I can go to the filler. I'm going to quilt some swirls and paisleys. In an area this small, I might find myself running out of room pretty quickly. If I don't have room to add another swirl or paisley, I'm just going to keep echoing until the whole thing is filled in. Let's take a break from the curves and do a little bit of dot-to-dot quilting. This design is perfect for those plus blocks that have a different fabric in the center, and it really pulls the whole block together. The dots I'm going to use are the corners of the center block as well as the middle of the outer side. I'm going to quilt a line that goes from that corner to the middle of the top and then back down. And I'm going to repeat working my way around the block. I could go ahead and stop here if I'd like, or if I want to add a little bit more quilting, I can echo those triangle shapes that I just quilted. Quilting a line that angles up about a 1/2 inch away from the point and then back down to touch the corner of the center block. This is a great design for blocks of all sizes, especially if you have all different sizes in the same quilt, because I can just add more or less echo lines depending on how much space I have. And I just love how all the lines kind of pull that block together. Then in the center block, I can do anything I want, and I think I'm going to do just a regular, basic, continuous curve. And then if you're crazy like me and you like stitching in the ditch, you can go ahead and stitch along the seam in the center. Now, if you've quilted your plus block and you're thinking, I love it, but I'm not wanting it to be like such a big element or really stand out, you can take the dot to dot outside of the blocks and connect the points to create a fun echo-like design that separates it just a bit from the filler. Let's travel up to one of the outer corners and do the same dot to dot design within that area. And then I can use the filler around the block to get to the next point. I love how the swirls look next to the pointy dot-to-dot design, but they're serving a different purpose as well. They're helping me move my way around the block so that I don't have to break thread. And once I get to the next outer point, I can do the same thing, quilting that dot-to-dot design in between those 2 points. And of course, if you wanted to, this would be the perfect time to go ahead and stitch along that seam. This is actually something I do a lot on my quilts. I love looking for those points around the block and connecting them. But if you can't quite choose between straight lines or curves, the good news is you can use them both in the same block. This design is perfect for larger plus blocks because it needs a little bit more room to develop. We're connecting a few dots, we're adding a little bit of continuous curve, which I already know you know how to do both. So let's see how quick and easy it is to quilt. Starting from the outer corner of my block, I'm going to quilt a diagonal line that goes to the middle of the center block, and then on to the other side. Now I'm going to add some continuous curve in those lines. So it's going to curve to the point, out to the middle and back, and then on to the next side. And I have the first part of my block. Since this design returns to where it started, I'm going to incorporate traveling to get to my next block. Now I'm in position to do the same thing, quilting my V shape and filling it in with the continuous curve design. Obviously, I prefer quilting with rulers, but if you don't have one or you're not up for that right now, you can freehand it. I'm just going to take my time and move slowly. Looking ahead at the needle in the direction I'm heading will help ensure that my line is straight-ish. Quilting diagonal lines without a ruler is pretty easy because all I need to do is twist the quilt just a bit so I'm moving more in a horizontal or vertical manner. I'm not talking about rotating the whole quilt, I'm just twisting it just a little bit. Once I have my V, well then I can do my continuous curve and continue along. But I can't forget that center block. So at any point when I'm touching the corner of the center block, that's my perfect opportunity to quilt it and move on. Since we're in a continuous curve kind of mode, I'm going to do the regular continuous curve that we've already seen. But if I get done and I feel like this quilt needs just a little bit more, I can travel along the seam of my center block and get to one of the points of my previously quilted V's. From here, I can quilt my lines that curve from point to point, but it's not going to be the corner of the block, it's going to be that previously quilted line. And I just love how that pulls the whole design together. I'm going to continue traveling around that center block and then get back to where I started. And there I have that beautiful block all quilted with a curvy, pointy look. And sometimes once you finish the block, you're thinking, I'm just glad this thing is done. In that case, just add the filler around it and move on. And since I've already been in a swirl kind of mood, I think I'm going to keep with the swirls. And I am using a green thread so that you can see it on the camera. However, if I were doing this on the actual quilt, I would use a thread color that matched the quilt top, so all you would see is that beautiful texture. We really want the block to shine. So, are you ready for your challenge? If you're quilting along with me on the panel, go ahead and quilt those 3 plus blocks. You can use the same design in all of them, come up with your own variations, or try one of each. And as you're quilting, I would love to see pictures of what you're doing. You can post those to our Facebook group, or you can use the hashtag FMQ Challenge so that we can see them. Don't forget, I have a downloadable PDF with quilting diagrams and tips. All the information is in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, I hope you will, because you'll be the first to know when new videos come out. Happy quilting!